What
Uh,
did you love about being on Star Trek Voyager in addition to the paycheck?
I think I was 41 when I started Star Trek, and that's when I started taking seriously get looking for a series, a TV series, because I did not want to be in my 50s and 60s hustling for work, being at the mercy of these casting directors, and the lack of jobs for Latinos, and then older Latino men. You know, the the paucity of jobs for with that combination. You're Latino and you're in your 50s and 60s, and you're hustling, and I did not want to be going through that. So I was looking for uh, a series, and Star Trek came along. I had done two other series that didn't last very long. Um, I did a couple of pilots that I thought were going to go into series. They weren't picked up. So when Star Trek came along, it was really nice, even though I always hated science fiction. And I had never watched Star Trek because I couldn't stand it. Uh, but Star Trek fans are always like, you know, they don't like that I'm that honest. They would rather hear me say, "Oh yeah, I always wanted to be in Star Trek." No, I didn't, honestly, but it was a stroke of luck.
Do you know what it takes to be a working actor? Do you really? Well, today we are talking to Mr. Robert Beltran from Star Trek. He has done television, plays, Shakespeare, and films, and he breaks down his process. I am Lydia Nicole, and this is Acting Smarter Now. So, my first question for you is, what is classical theater?
The hardest question of all to begin with. Ay, ay, ay. It's really a difficult question to answer because the cliche is okay, the Greek tragedy, Shakespeare, those are definitely included in what you would call classical theater. But some people would call Arthur Miller classical, and I would agree with them. Ibsen. Classical, I think, means more describes the type of play that you're doing.
Is it more highbrow? Is it more highbrow, like the speech is more affected in certain ways? Would that be considered classical as well?
No, no,
No? Okay.
I don't think it's language as much as the longevity of the play and I mean, Shakespeare writes in verse and prose, but a lot of other of his contemporary playwrights wrote the same way, and they don't ever reach the heights that Shakespeare did. With the Greeks, we have mostly translations, unless you want to read the original Greek, which I'm not capable of doing. And a lot of those translations are written in verse, in iambic pentameter. But I don't know that the original Greek playwrights wrote in verse. So it's a very difficult question to answer in an honest way, or I could just say, oh yeah, it's Shakespeare and the Greeks. That is classical, and only Shakespeare and the Greeks. But I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to find out, when did you get the acting bug?
That was pretty young, actually. I saw a film called From Here to Eternity with Montgomery Clift, and Montgomery Clift was so great in this movie. I must have been about 10 or 11 when I saw it, and I related so much to the character that I thought, wow, it was not even conscious; it was subconscious. It really spoke to me. And in fact, I related to him in myself. He was a loner, he had his principles. He never compromised his principles, and that was the kind of guy that I tried to fashion myself to be, even that young. And then it really started to get to me even more when I saw Romeo and Juliet, the Franco Zeffirelli version, which is a great film and still holds up. as my favorite Romeo and Juliet. And the reason why I liked it was because there was nothing highbrow about it at all. There was these two people that were young kids that were madly in love with each other, and you could feel the sensuality and the lust and the, you know, the need to hold each other, to be with each other. And plus the sword fighting, which was not the Errol Flynn swashbuckling, which are great, absolutely entertaining and great. But this was out in the street where they were like, it was like a real street fight. You know, it was like the fights in junior high school that were all over the place. When I went to junior high school, you know, and elementary school, a lot of fights, and it was dirty and bloody and scabs and scratches and, you know, really. And that's what the Zeffirelli really captured. And so my first year in college, they were doing a production of Romeo and Juliet. And I had done theater in high school, a lot of theater in high school, and mostly musicals. But I thought, well, I would kind of like to be in this play because I would like to do some sword fighting. And so I auditioned for the role of Tybalt, the character that has the most sword fights in the play.
Wait a minute. Let me stop you. Did you count how many sword fights he had before you auditioned?
Basically, yeah. He has like 5. Everybody else has like 2 or 3. And so I went into audition, and they had already been having auditions. And the director, Dr. Chapman, who was a great influence, said, why do you want to audition for Tybalt? Why don't you audition for Romeo? And I said, no. I want to do some sword fighting. And I auditioned. And he said, okay, yeah, just hold on. Yeah, I was in his office. He said, hold it, give me a few minutes. He went away for about 10 minutes, came back with this beautiful girl. And he said, I want you to meet Barbara. Barbara is auditioning for Juliet. Do you think you could work with her just to be her partner and so she can audition tomorrow? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So we worked on these 2 scenes from with Romeo and Juliet, and the beautiful bedroom scene, both of them, both the bedroom scenes. And it was so amazing to me working on that, working on all in verse, all this beautiful poetry with the woman that, the young girl that you're in love with, you know, these teenagers. And it really got to me. It really got to me. And so the next day he said, so you still want to work on Tybalt? And I said, I'll be interested in Romeo. I'll be interested in Romeo. So Barbara was tall and I was tall. There was another couple that were shorter, and we were the 2 like leading aspirants for the play, for the roles, right? Eventually we had one final audition, and Barbara and I did our scenes. I forgot that I was in the theater. I forgot I forgot everything. It was like I was lifted onto some other plane that when it was over with, I was like, wow, that was, you know, I couldn't even describe what it was. And Dr. Chapman was very, 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 very influential in my career. And he said, I think as crude and as it was, I think that's probably the most beautiful thing I've seen in the theater. And he said it not because he said it because we were so committed to it. We were so in it, and it was so honest and free of artifice, you know. And I think that's what he meant by it, because obviously he'd seen much greater theater, but I think the honesty and the fact that we just gave ourselves totally to the scene really affected him. But he didn't cast us as Romeo and Juliet. He cast the other couple, and I ended up playing Tybalt anyway, so I was fine. So from then on, I was hooked, and especially on Shakespeare. That's why I became an actor, was to be able to do Shakespeare.
So let me take you back. You are applying for college.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have an idea of where you wanted to go? Was it ever in question that you were going to go to Fresno State, or did you have thoughts of, I want to go here, I want to go there?
No, I had no idea what I was going to do. This audition for Romeo and Juliet happened at Bakersfield College, because I grew up. I was born and raised in Bakersfield, and I went to East Bakersfield High School, and my freshman year in college was at BC, Bakersfield College.
Okay.
I did I spent 3 years at Bakersfield College because I was working and I wasn't always going full time, but I was always available to do a play. I did probably 7 or 8 plays while I was there, and then I decided that I wanted to go to Fresno. It was CSUF then, Cal State University, Fresno. It's Fresno State now, Fresno State University now. It was really a lucky chance that I went there because I didn't know that it was one of the top 10 theater departments in the country. I had my friend and I both wanted to go. That we both went together and we roomed together. But before we went to Fresno, we checked out UCLA, and UCLA seemed like I would be part of a corporation. It was so big, and this theater department was just huge, and there were like hundreds of students. Not so in Fresno. It was a small theater department, and you could always work. You were doing plays, you were directing, you were working on lighting, you were doing all of the stuff that theater majors work on. And so it was a lucky thing that's. And the reason why I went was because I had an older brother that lived there, and was able to get me a job while I was going to school.
Oh, so that's
So
what you meant, that you had a job waiting when you went to Fresno State,
yes,
you had a
yes,
job. What
yeah.
kind of job were you,
I was a teacher's assistant at a junior high school. Yeah.
and how was that?
Well, it took too much of my time.
Oh,
I finally had to quit and then start getting loans to go to school, and that allowed me to go to school full time. So the first semester, I had maybe 2 or 3 classes, so I was only going part time, and I was able to do a couple of plays, but I was busy working, 8 to 5 in the evening. So I had to get loans and that sort of thing so that I could just go to school full time.
how did Fresno State mold you as an actor?
Well, I had professors that were very committed to the students. And so they tried to give the students the best education in the theater that they could. So they did like 7 main stage productions, and they had all kinds of other black box theater, smaller audience theaters where you could work. And so I think what Fresno State allowed me to do was work on stage a lot, and that's how I learned how to handle myself on stage, and how to and the acting classes also, and the directing classes, and all of, being inundated in the theater, you really start to put it together, what it takes to be an actor and what's required. And so just the ability to work over and over and over in plays, and different types of plays, not just one thing, one style. That allowed me to grow and to get a good understanding of what I need to do and where I need to be if I want to be a professional actor, which hadn't even crossed my mind, really. I was I was having so much fun learning that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to keep learning, so I stayed there until I finally got a professional job.
Now, you had a job at the California Shakespeare Festival for
Yeah,
2 years. What was
yeah,
that? And what prompted you to go do that?
yeah. Well, so my senior year at Fresno, I had one more class to graduate, but they began a theater company, a professional theater company, Shakespeare theater company, that they were modeling. They were going to model on the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and so this was to be the inaugural year of their new company. So I auditioned. He had the director already had the main actors, but he needed smaller roles, And so I auditioned for him, and he said, "What are you doing this summer? You want?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "I'm free. I would love to do this, right?" And he said, "Okay, well, you're in." So a few days later, I got a call from the production office, and it was the producer, and she said, "Robert, we want you to be in this play, but no," she said, "I have good news and bad news. We want you to do this play, but we can't pay you very much. And I said, oh, okay. She said, the good news is we want you to do the play, but bad news, we can't, we can't pay you very much. And I said, well, how much are
Welcome to
you?
Hollywood.
Yeah. She said, as I asked her, well, how much are you paying? She said, $100 a week. And I said, $100 a week? Really? I mean, that was my reaction. I almost went through the roof. Uh, so, so I was able to do this season of Hamlet and Midsummer Night's Dream, playing small roles, watching these professional actors, many of them so good. And I also got to see, so I got to see how professionals work. Most of them were very, very disciplined, but there were those guys that were sloppy. And I thought, wow, this is kind of like being at Fresno State, you know, some really committed and some just there for the fun, you know. So that was an eye opener for me. And because I always tried to be disciplined, the director liked me. He hired me the next year. And actually, in between seasons, he hired me to do a tour of Shakespeare, sort of advertising the new company that was started. And so that's how I started. I didn't graduate because I took the job. My choice was don't take the offer of the California Shakespeare Festival, stay and finish the class and get your degree. But I thought, I've got to do this. You know, this is what I really want. So that was my choice. So Lydia, that's how I got my equity card.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in 1980. That's where I got it.
Wow. So then when did you start working or got a play at Teatro Campesino?
My second year with the California Shakespeare Festival, uh, I was part of the professional company. So I wasn't a journeyman. And so and there was an actor there named Tony Plana, which probably a lot of people know.
He's just a little
And
guy. He's just a little
so Tony and I became friends, and it was really a very talented company. A lot of other actors that have gone on to do a lot of work in television and film were part of that company. Jeffrey Combs and a few others. So Tony and I became friends, and Tony had done Zoot Suit in LA and on Broadway. So he said, hey, you got to come with me and meet Luis Valdez. I said, well, yeah, I would really like that. So we drove up there together. I met Luis, and he was great, very friendly, wonderful man to talk to and get to know, and we had a good time together. And then he asked me, look, if you're available in the around Christmas, and this was like around June, no, it was more like July. If you're available around Christmas, come and audition for the play that we do every year, La Pastorela. Look at the role of Luzbel, the devil, right? So I auditioned, and he gave me the role, and that's how I got to work with him the first time, doing this old play in verse in Spanish, which I really had to work hard on because my Spanish is not that great. And we did it in the mission there at San Juan Bautista. It was just great fun, great to be directed by him and get to know him. And I ended up doing 2 more plays with him. Well, three plays, plus the PBS filmed version of La Pastorela that we did years later.
Then you were asked to do Zoot Suit, the movie.
Yeah, that's right. So when I was doing Pastorela, Luis was preparing the screenplay for Zoot Suit, and there was a little role that was available, and he asked me to do it, and I said, yeah, of course. So I went down to Los Angeles to do like 4 days on it, and
So did you get paid? Wait a minute.
I
Did you
got
get paid?
paid. I got much more, you know.
That's not all I want to know. I want to know, did you get paid?
Yes, I had to be Taft Hartley'd
Into SAG.
into SAG, yeah. And so I got a nice salary for, up to that point, I'd never been paid like that, even though it was only for 4 or 5 days. But it was while I was working on it, I had an audition for a play at the Taper, and the casting director, I think it was Luis that recommended me to him, and so I went and met him and auditioned, and his name was Eugene Blythe, and
Yes, I remember him.
yeah, nice guy, and he said, Robert, this really isn't right for you, but there's a film that's happening. They haven't found their lead character, and I think you're perfect for it. I'm going to call the director and set up a meeting. So I finished Zoot. I was out of work. I went back to Bakersfield. Mom, can I stay with you for a while? And she was, yeah, of course, me. So while I was with my mom, you know, sleeping till noon and
You're
partying.
being that lazy actor that you saw.
There you go. One day I got a phone call, and it was Paul Bartel, who was directing this film that Eugene Blythe had told me about, and I had completely forgotten about, because he told me he would get me in touch with the guy, but it was like a month later, So I had forgotten. I thought, well, that's not going to happen. But Paul Bartel calls me. He had a very distinct voice. Actually, my mom answered the phone first, and Paul talked like this. "Oh, I'm looking for Robert Beltran. Is this where Robert Beltran lives?" And my mom was like, "Who is this? Who are you?" I said, "Well, I'm a director, and I wanted to talk to Robert about my film." My mom said, okay, hold on. I said, Bill, somebody wants you on the phone. And I was going, "I think he's weird. Here, talk." So I talked to him, and he was like, "Robert, I want to meet you and have you read for my film, Eating Raoul." And I was like, "What is it, Eating Raoul?" I said, "No, man, I don't do those kind of films." I really said that. It was just so weird, right? He goes, "Oh, no, I assure you, it's completely legitimate." And I said, "Oh, really? So what else have you done then?" He rattled off a couple of things, and I was like, "No, I don't know what that is. No, I didn't see that." And then he said, Death Race 2000. And I had just seen this movie at the drive-in 3 or 4 days before he called me. Me and my girlfriend were, in those drive-ins with you park the car and put the
Having a
speaker
good time.
And, we thought, we're not really going to see the movie. We're just going to be smooching, but the movie was actually very funny, and we were watching it and cracking up. So when he told me he did that film, I said, "Okay, yeah, so great. I just saw that film. You directed that?" And he goes, "Yeah. Yes, that was my movie." I said, "Okay, I would love to read for you." So I went and read for him with the leading woman, Mary Warnoff, and the co-writer in his apartment in Hollywood, right there on Fountain and Sweeney? No,
Sweetser.
Sweetser. Yeah. And we had dinner, and we had a lot of wine, and I had did some rewrites, because he was trying to write a Chicano, and it didn't really fit here and there. So I was doing some rewrites, and that's the way I read the scene with him. And he was, "Oh, I don't think that's how it's written." But the other writer was like, "No, this is better. This is better. Keep going. This is better." So Paul was like, "Oh, okay." So I read the scene, spent the evening with them, and the next morning he called me and said, "Robert, we would like you to be our Raoul." That really started the ball to roll, but I had no idea that he could only film as he raised money. So the
Because
first
it
time
was an indie film.
it was, yeah,
And Paul was previously part of Roger Corman's ensemble.
that's
Roger
right.
Corman, the big horror campy producer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of great directors came out of there,
Yes.
uh,
And actors.
and actors. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson being one of them that comes immediately to mind.
And Peter
But
Fonda came out of
Peter
there. There was,
Fonda, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
so many.
the rejects from the studios.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that the ones that said, "Screw the studios, I'm going to do something really close to what I really see for myself." And so the first time I did about 3 days of filming on Raul, and then he said, "Robert, I'll call you when we're going to resume." He goes, "I have to raise the money." Oh yeah, so I was doing this play. I was doing this play at San Juan for the Teatro Campesino, having it was hot. It was the summer. It was I didn't like the play. I didn't like the director. Luis wasn't directing it. He was just producing it, and living in a trailer. And it's like, ugh, awful. So Paul called me and said, "Robert, we're gonna shoot this weekend." So I had those 3 days off, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, when we didn't do the play, and I went to LA. I shot few more days, and then he said, "We'll call you again." And so another couple of days a couple of months went by, and so anyway, we finally finished it, right? Piecemeal like that, and then
Hmm.
it came out, and it was amazing that the film festivals liked it. All the critics thought it was terrific, and it was just it was a great way to start being able to tell casting directors when they ask you, "Well, what have you done?" Oh, I said, "Well, I'm playing I'm the guy Raul in the film Eating Raul," and they're like, "Oh, you're in that, right?" So
So at this time, did you move down to Los Angeles or were you still up north?
I was still up north, yeah, and for a while I was living with Luis Valdez's two sisters, Socorro and Cindy. They let me stay on their couch.
You were a true actor. You
Oh,
were a true actor living the dream.
I was a gypsy for sure. And in fact, when I got the script of Eating Raoul for the before the audition, I read it with Socorro and Cindy and a few other of our friends, and we were cracking up and drinking, and I was kind of skeptical, but I thought, well, hey guys, should I even audition for this thing? I mean, and they were like, "Are you crazy? Of course, it's funny." So yeah, I was still pretty much a gypsy, and what was funny, just jumping ahead a little bit, Cindy Valdez had an audition, and she didn't have a ride to get there, so I took her, and I was waiting in the office building in the what do you call them, where
The
they
lobby.
sign
Yeah.
in where you
Hmm.
sign. And she went into audition, and she came back out a little later with the casting director, and he was looking around. So who's next? And then he looked at me and said, "Are you next?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not auditioning." He goes, "Well, why aren't you auditioning?" I said, "I don't know. I didn't know anything about it. I just brought Cindy." He goes, "Well, you should audition. I want you to. Are you an actor?" I said, "Yeah, I'm an actor." He goes, "Well, come here." So he took me into his office, gave me some material to look at. I worked on it in the hall for a little while. And then he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah, well, let's read it." So I read it with him. And he said, "You could play this role, but you've got to read better than that." And so I said, "Well, it's cold." And he said, "Here, go, take it home, work with Cindy on it. I'm going to bring you guys back. You'll read together." And so that was the lead in an ABC miniseries called The Mystic Warrior. And it was the part of the Mystic Warrior. So I stumbled into that. I got the role eventually after some weird stuff happened, where they didn't cast me and then they cast me again. It was I don't know why I felt the need, remembering Cindy and living there with Socorro and Cindy on their couch, and just an interesting way that to get a foothold into the
And
it
at
was
that
it was
time, did you have an agent yet or not yet?
no, I didn't have an agent. And in fact, I didn't even know that I needed one because I'd done Eating Raoul. I had just been cast in The Mystic Warrior. And Socorro and Cindy said, well, you got to have an agent. So why? Why do I need an agent? Because they're the one. Well, they explained it to me. And I said, okay, so can I use your agent? And they said, well, we'll introduce you. So that's how I met the beautiful, wonderful Miriam Baum.
Oh my God. We all had Miriam.
Yeah.
She repped
And
every Latino in the nation.
that's right. That's right. Going back.
I gave Miriam such a hard time I would fire her. She would call me to come back. I'd come back. I'd fire her again. Then I'd
Yes.
come back.
Yes. Yeah. So
We love Miriam though.
yeah, absolutely.
God
Absolutely.
bless her.
God bless her. She's now my manager, as a matter of fact. Her and her daughter are my manager right now. But anyway,
I think that's the daughter I had as an intern for a while. I had her as an intern. Her kids were great. Her
yeah,
kids were her daughters, I should say, were fantastic.
Yes, they're great people. You're probably talking about Andrea.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went into Miriam's office and she was like, "Oh, hi! I've heard so much about you. You know, but what have you done?" She didn't know. She had just heard by word of mouth there's this guy that wants to meet you, wants you to rep and possibly rep. And so she was just like, I was interrupting her day actually, and she was like, "So what have you done? I mean, I know you're here new in town, but what have you done anything?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I did this film called Eating Raoul, and now I'm going to do Mystic Warrior." She said, "Sign right here," you know. So,
And
so
Marilyn was there at the time,
and
right?
Marilyn, sure,
I
I mean,
loved Marilyn. Well, I love both of them, but Marilyn was I loved Marilyn because
yeah,
I could tell Marilyn stuff and she'd go, okay, okay. Miriam, I had to fight her. I had to fight her. I had to yell at her. I remember her setting, I remember her, I had gotten an audition for something. And I called her and I said, Miriam, I got an audition. Da, da, da. So I go to the audition, and there are five other girls reading for the same role as me that came from Artist First. And how are you guys here? And she says, oh, we're with Miriam. But they're all, so I went to the office right after that. I said, don't you ever send anybody to the audition that I get. I was like, oh, we're not doing that, Miriam. We're not doing that. And I would go in there. Oh my God, I love Miriam.
I can recall you being mad, and so I can, yeah, I remember. So yeah, Marilyn and Miriam were kind of like, for me, they were kind of like tough cop, nice cop.
Exactly. Exactly.
And Marilyn was always like, what are you talking about? Why are you so stupid? That's really stupid what you're saying. And Miriam, leave, he's fine. He just doesn't know. He doesn't know. Yeah. And so it worked out well. Worked out well for a while. And then I had to leave her for a bigger agency, a different one.
You did Shakespeare, but then once you're in Los Angeles, you started studying Shakespeare, like really going at it.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for that? What made you decide, you know what? I think I need to study this more.
Well, because theater jobs were happening for me in between film and TV. And I really missed it. I didn't work when I came to LA. I didn't work. I came in 1981, and I didn't work in a play until 1985, and that was 4 years. I was really, really craving it. So, except for this another tour that I did of Shakespeare with a small touring group headed by Anthony Zerbe and this British actor named Roy Dutrice, both great actors. It was a small company of five. We did different scenes from Shakespeare and all, and we toured all of the Midwest, the colleges, and so that was great. Working with Roy Dotrice, the British actor, uh, he said, when he was working on with me on the scenes, I knew that I was. He said, "You're a very good actor. You're a very good actor, but that you can still learn this and still learn this." And I was like, "Yeah, I can see that." So I heard about Ada Brown Mather. Do you remember Ada Brown Mather?
Yes, yes.
A British woman, probably in her 70s or possibly 80s, who would teach a class every year. It was like a 6 week or 8 weeks maybe.
Now, did she come? She would come to town for that period from England, right? Is that
Yes.
okay? Okay.
Yeah. She did this class called Tackling Shakespeare. And Ada Brown Mather had the, gray-haired woman with hair down to here. And she was so exacting. It was like being a ballet dancer with a ballet master that was like hitting you with a cane, watch that, your form, And it was exactly what I wanted and what I needed, because the thing, the thing that I needed to get in my body was how to manipulate the breath, so it was a technique that I needed to master, which we do normally in life. We don't have to think about how we breathe, but when we're taking these roles and then making them us, we loan our bodies and we loan ourselves to these roles. We have to figure out how they breathe, where they breathe in these scenes and this dialogue, and what you're saying and how you say it, and the best way to do it, to say it. So this is something that I learned from her, and it completely freed me. And I worked with her every year. She came for 3 years, 3 or 4 maybe. And I still say that she's the best acting teacher, because once you learn how to manipulate. She said, "Oh, I know you're all good actors. You're wonderful, but you don't know how to bring the material to life yet. Only in spurts you're good here, but you fall apart here, and you're not living here, and you're living there. So once I understood what she was saying, and it took a little while, and it was very frustrating for me at times, because she'd always say, "Oh, Robert, you almost had it. Oh, Robert." And one time I just blew up. I just blew up, and it probably won't surprise you, Lydia, but uh, I was like, I finished the scene, and she was like, "Oh, Robert, you didn't." And I was like, "What? God damn it! What am I doing? I'm gonna give up on this fucking shit because I right."
Right before the breakthrough. Right before the breakthrough is the meltdown. I love it. Go ahead. That's how actors are. We have the meltdown and then we have the breakthrough.
Yeah, there's the wall. You got to break the wall, right? And so and so the rest of the class was like, because it was really a meltdown. It was I was raging, not at anybody in particular except myself. Why in the hell am I not getting this? And Ada was very, very, very patient. She says, "Robert, oh, Robert, you've got so much stuff to give. You'll get it. Please don't give up. Don't quit." And I said, "Oh,
What a
okay."
beautiful thing. That's awesome.
Yes, yeah, it was. It was, and I've loved her ever since. So I didn't give up. And one day it just snapped for me. I got it. One day I just got it. And I understood that what she was trying to do was to help all of us to take what we do normally in life, whether we're in a serene mood, an angry mood, a contemplative mood, whatever, it's how you breathe. And when you take these characters and loan yourself to them, you have to be able to give them all of the freedom that those roles require, uh, so that you're bringing out all of the nuances that are available in a character. And that was really eye-opening for me. I was probably about 32, 33, and it just it freed me, and I've been I feel like I've been free since then. Not that you don't have, not that you don't stop working and you're still not frustrated and you're still, but at least you know how to attack a problem that
And
you're having.
how did that um transfer into all of your other work? Because you were doing other stuff other than Shakespeare, but it seems like something about that connected just in your acting period.
Yeah, yeah. It allowed me to be comfortable in front of the camera, to relax in front of the camera and on stage. Because even though I knew I was approaching a difficult scene on stage, or a difficult scene that we were filming on film, I wouldn't panic. I would relax into it and see what came from I mean, you always study, you always go in knowing what you're going to do. And then when you rehearse with the actor, I'm talking about on film or TV, sometimes you only get a rehearsal for the camera. So Robert, you stand here, she'll stand here, you guys come over here, and let's just yeah, let's try it. And then it's for the camera, really, for the movement of the
The
camera, which
blocking,
is,
right? It's all
yeah, the
for
blocking.
blocking, not really for to discover anything.
Yes. So it's when they're doing that, that the camera blocking, the camera movement, that's when you can relax and find stuff that beyond what you came in with, what you came in prepared to do. And you can find other nuances, and so what working with Ada taught me was, allowed me to relax and to not panic, because when you're worried, when you're panicked, you're blocked. You know, you're blocked. You're thinking about something that is not helpful to you. When you're completely relaxed, then you're open to various stimulus.
And she gave you certain breathing techniques to get you there.
It wasn't breathing technique. It wasn't a technique of breathing, like what are some of those, like a,
Yoga breaths or
yeah, nothing like that. Although that helps. Some people have a natural yoga mastery inherent in them. I didn't. I was an athlete, and I would take a breath, for half an hour, speak for a half an hour on one breath, and that's not helpful if you want to be understood. When I teach acting, and I got from Ada was, okay, you don't recite Shakespeare. You don't recite anything. You have to take this material, and so I say, look at the material without any punctuation, and then try to make sense out of it without any punctuation. You put your own period, you put your own comma, you put your own stop here, and see where it takes you. If it makes sense to you, then that's what you do. That's where you take your breath. That's how you. So it's phrasing. It's like a singer. A singer has to know where to phrase so that they never run out of breath. They're always completely, completely supported. It's no different for an actor. And so living on the breath is another way of looking at it. That it and I'm sorry if it's sounding.
no, this is great. This is great. I think actors need to hear this because a lot of times you have actors who are not trained and they don't know what to do when they get in trouble. So this is really important information to share.
Yes, yeah, it is very important. So I teach them to go through the material and choose where you're going to breathe. And they do that. And then when they get up to do it, they completely disregard what they had worked on because they're so into it in a way that is not the technique goes out the window. It's like, no, I want to do it, this way. This is how I'm feeling it. And so it's kind of like taming a horse. The horse has to know that the actor has to tame the horse within him. Um, so when I work with them, even experienced, very talented students, they're very frustrated when I said, "Well, I didn't understand what you were saying." What do you mean? So I didn't understand what the hell you were saying. You were emphasizing words that made me think you were saying this, and then you kept going, and then the two the antithesis that's there that was going to help me to understand, you totally disregarded, and so I couldn't follow what the hell you were saying. Well, what do I do then? I said, go back, stick to your phrasing points. In Shakespeare, you have the thesis and the antithesis. So you say something and then you have its opposite. And if you can just get that, the clarity is so much more there. And so once they understood that acting is not just going out there like a bull in a china shop, knocking everything over, would be exciting to see, but for flashes, but not for the whole evening. My God. So I teach them what I learned with Ada Brown Mather, which is when you take a piece of material, you're not ever lost in the middle of it, especially in Shakespeare, where you have long speeches. It's like being thrown into the ocean and not knowing how to swim. So instead of throwing, and you learn how to swim, but you don't swim 5 miles to the shore without stopping. You put little islands out there where you can stop and rest, and the audience can follow you that much better. So phrasing.
Did you learn phrasing at Fresno, or did you learn phrasing with Ada? How, because you did Shakespeare before you came to her. I'm just trying to connect what it was that she added to you that you didn't already know, because you were working doing Shakespeare.
Yes. The difference was that always had a strong intention, and I could always be heard the back of the theater, and I knew what my character was saying. That got me through performances, and it gets a lot of actors through performances, and they're very good. But I knew there was something missing, and so what was missing was a way to systematize a way of working. It's like even professional baseball players have batting coaches, guys that have won batting championships. They still have batting coaches saying, "No, you're dropping your elbow, and that's why you're pulling the ball. You're not spraying the ball to wherever it needs to go, and your stance. They work on it. And this is with professional baseball players, and that's the same with actors. Um,
Helping you
you
keep
have
your form. The coach helps
Yes,
you keep your form. So
yes,
you don't get lazy, you don't slack off. You're constantly knowing, okay, let me take this up another notch. This
that's right.
because that's what a coach should be helping you do. Take it
Yeah,
up another notch. So it's not always the same performance.
yes, yes. You're able to you're able to bring more nuance to a character uh, because you're not out there in the ocean, trying to stay above water. You're able to swim nice and easy. Just take a little breath here, get back to it, underwater, do the backstroke, anything you want to do. Uh, so yes, it's learning a technique that allows you to give a high order of acting night after night, performance after performance. so that it never dips below very good. You're always very good. The audience is always there with you. Your other actors are stimulated by you. The director is happy that he's got you in his play because the playwright is happy because you're bringing so much, and that comes with learning how to manipulate your breath so that you're totally relaxed, and taking the material and breaking it down in such a way that, when you go to rehearsal and you stick to your choices, you don't throw them out the window. Stick to your choices, and until your choices are in your body, and then you can start discarding stuff. You can start adding stuff. And, oh, well, I don't need that. This doesn't work. And that's how you grow a really nuanced character, because that's what we want in acting. We want the most minute nuance that we can bring to a role.
Let's talk about discipline. You mentioned something earlier that you were working with great actors and they were very disciplined. And then there were some that were very sloppy and not good. And something that I know about you is that you are very intentional about the playwright's words. Like you are a stickler for the words that are written.
Yeah.
Where did you get that discipline? Because there are a lot of actors that want to rewrite Odette or rewrite Shaw or rewrite, Pablo Sanchez, whoever they just gonna rewrite. I don't like it. I'm gonna rewrite. What does Shakespeare know? What does Shakespeare know? What does that pendejo know? He doesn't know anything.
But the way I'm saying it sounds so much better. Yeah.
I don't like how it phrases. I heard a young woman say to you, I can't do it because it sounds like I'm rhyming. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
The discipline in learning the words and really saying every word that is written on the page, owning it without discarding what you didn't like.
First of all, if you try to do that with Shakespeare, you just can't, because you can never say it better than what was written, than what he's given you, especially if it's in verse. You have a certain amount of syllables per line that are very specific, and you can't leave one out or add stuff. It totally destroys not only the sound but the sense goes out the window. I had an actor when I was teaching at UCLA, and he was doing a scene with a partner, and he was all over the place. He was paraphrasing, and we finished, and he was one of those, very arrogant, self-satisfied actors. Wasn't that great? Wasn't that great? I said, no, it wasn't great. He goes, what do you mean? I said, you don't know the you don't know the words. What do you mean? I worked, blah, 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 blah. I said, no, you don't know the words. I said, somebody find that scene and read his speech so that he can actually hear it. It was read to him, and I said, that's what I said. I said, no, you didn't say that. He said, well, it's just about the same anyway. I'm still saying the same thing. I said, you're not. You're not. You have a partner that's working with you, and don't force him to pretend that you're saying something that is not written. You're forcing him to play bullshit make-believe with you. You're playing with dolls. You're playing make-believe, fairy stuff. That's not what acting is about. The words, Shakespeare has specific words. Use them. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. And you're putting your partner through hell because you're not disciplined enough to do that. And so several times he would do that. And I said, well, look, man, if you're not going to do what the playwright gives you, then why even work? Why even work with me? Just do whatever you want. Do you not want me to criticize you? Do you not want my
Well, I don't think that's criticism. I think that's a critique, right? Isn't that that's information to help you get better? We go back to the coach. You're coaching him on his form.
Yes. So and the rest of the class was like, "Oh, come on, you were all over the place. You didn't know the language." And even his partner was like, "How, you know?" So he still didn't get it, and I don't know where he is now. But
That says a lot.
yeah,
I don't know where he is now
yes,
because he didn't take the information. He did not do the work.
yeah, yeah.
Pendejo. Okay, go ahead.
So the words that the playwright puts in a scene, he's really thought about. And a good playwright doesn't just write stuff extemporaneously. He really thinks about the character's motivation. What is the right expression that this character is using at this time? It's what is the best thing that I can write for the character at this moment, and it's well thought out. And so you have to deal with what is given to you.
And you have to do your script analysis.
Yes,
You as an
yeah.
actor.
You don't throw things out of Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams.
I didn't like that speech. It wasn't working for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's better if I say it this way.
And I hated Tennessee Williams. I hated the Glass Menagerie. Why do I have to say that?
Yeah. But I have worked with a new play on new plays with the playwright in the room. And that's when you can kind of first you try it as it's written, and then you say, well, I don't know, is there something else? Am I missing something? Are we missing something in the scene? Because it doesn't seem to be gelling. And that gives the playwright a chance to go, wow, I think you're right. I'll rewrite it. I'll write it this way instead of. But you rarely have that chance. And some are open to looking at it and making changes. Others are absolutely insulted that you would even say
Don't
such a
you
thing.
dare tell them to kill their babies.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. So, but I think the way to get the best results is to stick with what's on the page and don't question Shaw, don't question Shakespeare. Question only the playwright that's there in the room with you where you can have a discussion with them. You can't discuss things with Shaw and with Shakespeare. You just can't. They're there. Those are. It's like changing a couple of notes from Beethoven or Mozart. I don't like that part. I'm gonna play it like this, right? No, no. It's those they work as it's written. It works. You have to find out how to make it work.
This is a side note, but you mentioned music, and I know you play piano. When did you start playing piano?
Well, I don't play very well at all, Lydia. I just do chords, chord progressions and that sort of thing, because I like to compose. Um, but my compositions, what I find in composing music is very, very close to writing because I'm writing my first play right now. So I'm finding that all of the composition that I did on music with music is really, and plus working on all the plays that I've worked on is uh, making it very clear to me that I have to be very specific in the words that I use for each character. So I don't know how successful I am at that right now, but I'm enjoying writing this play, and it is very much like music.
And did you start with an outline when you started working on the play? Did you have an outline already set for yourself?
Well, the play it's a historical story that already has an outline. It has a beginning and an end. So I'm just using the historical plot of things that actually happened because it has a kind of a natural rising dramatic structure to it. So no, I've never taken a playwriting class. I just feel compelled to write this play. The story is basically the conquest of Mexico. It's Cortez and the Spaniards coming in and conquering those tribes, those nations, and defeating the Mexica and bringing the Spanish culture and obliterating almost they had already obliterated the islands, Hispaniola, Cuba, you know, all of those islands were decimated. Puerto Rico, to modern day Puerto Rico and Santo Domingo and all those. The Spaniards came in and decimated the native population. And they were moving now into Mexico and they were doing the same thing, looking for gold and spreading Catholicism. And in their minds, they were doing something worthwhile for God,
Hmm.
spreading the word of God.
Sounds interesting, like something current that we are experiencing right now.
Yes, yeah. So anyway, that's not to get off subject, but that's all of the plays and the music that I compose. I'm realizing that it's playwriting is very much similar to music, writing music.
When did you start deciding you were going to produce your own projects?
That was when I decided that if I didn't do my own production of Hamlet, I was never going to do it. Because you know how it is in the theater. The theater is the most segregated institution in the United States. The blacks have their theater, Asians have theirs, Latinos have theirs, and never the twain shall meet. And the
Well, we had it in the 70s for a minute. Joseph Papp decided, I'm bringing everybody together. I'm going to have ethnic cast do Shakespeare.
That's right.
He was very good about saying we're in an ethnic community and we are going to bring people who look like you to do Shakespeare.
Yes, yes. And what a great thing that was. We got Raul Julia
doing it with a Spanish accent, who got crucified for it. But he did. He got.
But when you listen to him, he was brilliant. So yeah, Joseph Papp did a great thing that everybody should have learned from, but he was the only one. Bill White and Bill and Diane, who did the LATC
Yes.
back in the 80s, they tried.
Bushnell, Bill Bushnell.
Bill Bushnell, yes, and Diane White. They attempted it here and there, but mostly it was like a white play, Chicano play, black play. We did a play of Eduardo Machado's where it was a mixed cast and it worked beautifully. You would think that they would learn from that. But anyway, I was talking about
starting your own productions.
The segregated institution of the theater in the United States. I wanted to do my own production of Hamlet because they would never think of me, a Latino actor, playing Hamlet at the Taper or anywhere else. So I decided I had to do my own production, which I did. And I wanted to do a mixed ethnic production. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. The actors that I wanted Tim Russ, a beautiful black actor, to play the king, Claudius the king. I wanted Camila Lopez was going to play Ophelia in the play. Several other people that I asked, for one reason or another, had to drop out, and there were about 3 or 4 other Latino actors that were in my production, but it was not as mixed as I was hoping it would be. But anyway, I decided to do my own production because, like I said, it was not going to happen unless I did it. I did Hamlet, and then I did The Big Knife, Odette's The Big Knife.
And you produced The Big Knife as well?
Yes. You don't make money in the theater. You just hope you don't lose a lot. If I had been able to extend the role, the production of Hamlet, because I did it during my hiatus when I was doing Star Trek, if I had been able to go longer, I would have made money. It was doing really well. I broke even, so that was great for me. Odette's was a little harder, and so I lost money in that. And that was okay because I loved the play and it was a great production, great actors,
And it was a great part for you. I mean,
yeah,
it's really a wonderful part.
yes, it is. And
Yeah.
I'm always looking to expand, expand my possibilities, as an actor. So those two productions, Lydia, I did on my own, and gathered all the actors and the director, and from day, put it all together and produced it and got it through closing night. And I was very proud and very happy. But it's a monumental project, and I just have not been able to do it since then.
But you got to do Julius Caesar,
Yeah, yeah, well, that was at Casa 010.
101, Josefina Lopez's place. We
Yes,
love her. Okay.
yes, and her husband Emmanuel. So how that happened, Lydia, was I was invited to see a play there at Casa 101. And I was watching the play and thinking, my God, these young actors, they have so much potential, but they don't have any technique. So I proposed in a meeting with Josefina and Emmanuel that I teach a class there, which would then lead into a production of Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. And they said yes. Yeah. So I started a class. There must have been 30, 40 actors, um, of various, some professionals, some just starting. And we just started on the sonnets. I gave everyone a sonnet. Uh, and that's how we learned about verse, iambic pentameter, and subtext. In the sonnet, I love using the sonnets because you have 14 lines with all of this subtext. You have the literal meaning, and then you have this deeper meaning. And that's where actors really live, is in the deeper meaning. And so they were learning about language, all the, how to relax breathing, how to phrase, all of that stuff while working on verse. And I feel that once you master that, there's nothing you can't do as far as language plays. You can handle any language play that's driven by a lot of language. And so we worked on the sonnets for several months, and then we did an evening of sonnets where everybody got to perform their sonnet. And then we started working on Julius Caesar. And that became another problem altogether. But we did a very good production. I wanted to choose the best actors. So I had a woman playing Brutus, a woman playing Mark Antony. I would have had a woman playing Cassius, but she couldn't do it. So I brought in Fidel Gomez to play Cassius. So I had other women playing men's roles because the men just weren't as good as nor did they take it as seriously as the women while we were doing the preparation. Those women were really, really trying to learn, trying hard, and they were brilliant in the play. Lauren Ballesteros as Mark Antony was terrific, and Rachel Gonzalez as Brutus. Wow, they were terrific.
And you used her again, Rachel Gonzalez. You used her again.
Yeah, I used her in Karen Zacharias's play,
Mariela
Woman
in
in
the
the Desert. No,
Desert.
Mariela in the Desert. Yes, fantastic play, which is a classic. I consider that a classical play because it's just beautiful. I saw these young actors. I thought, well, I'm an old guy now. I'm a veteran. I want to give. I want I always had this idea. You know how they say, man, if you're in trouble, you know, you need a good Jewish lawyer. Or if you're starting a football team, you got to get some good black athletes. I always had this idea to say, hey man, if you're starting an acting company, you need some good Latino actors. That's what my vision was.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of great Latino actors, young Latino actors, you know. That's what I wanted to help accomplish. And I still am trying. I still want to see that. And that's what motivated me to go to Casa O 101 and work with the young people. And it was thrilling. I had a great time. We all had a good time. Some of them didn't like me very much because I don't compromise. I'm not gonna be your best friend, and we're not gonna go drinking afterwards, and we're not gonna, you know, on the first day of rehearsal, we're not gonna start thinking about the cast party, you know, the closing night party. Come on. We're not playing with dolls here. This is serious stuff. Acting is a craft. You have to learn the craft. So I was watching Joanna Baron with the podcast, and she was wonderful. I agree with everything that she said. Working with them is something that I want to continue to do. And actually, I was going to direct Death of a Salesman last year, but and we were in rehearsal, but I couldn't get along with the guy playing Willie Loman, so I backed out. He was not directing.
He
He was
wasn't
not.
directable.
He was not
He was not
directable.
directable. As an actor who has been doing this for many decades, who has taken his craft serious, you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you have brought a discipline with your work. You have strived to be of excellence as an actor, and you've worked with a lot of directors, and so as you move into directing and you are doing it in theater and really and taking on special cases, because you know the opportunities, because this is what we're talking about, opportunities are not as readily available for Latino actors as they are for white actors. I've always thought that you were probably one of our finest actors, just in general, that you could stand toe to toe with any white actor, but were not given the opportunity that you had, if not the same skills, better skills than some of them. But because Beltran was your last name, you were omitted from the cast list. And so now that you are bringing your vision and say, okay, I'm going to direct, I want to do this. And you know, it's trial and error, right? As actors, as directors, as producers, it's trial and error, because we're pretty much creating our own manuals. Even though there are people who have done it, it's unique. It's still, you're still running, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about business and how much money you're garnering from it. But it is still unique in the sense of you're working in a community that's not used to theater, that's not used to raising the bar for excellence. They're just trying to live. You started a couple of theater companies in that vein of, okay, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna do this. The classical theater lab that you started, the Angel City Theater Ensemble that you work with. What have you learned from doing all of these projects and trying to do theater in a way that you see could work?
You remember the Odyssey project?
Oh God. Oh God. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. You were my defender. How could I ever forget? How could I ever forget you standing toe to toe with Ron Saucy for me? How could I ever forget that? Robert Beltran. One of the few times I didn't have to fight my battle because I had Robert Beltran to the rescue.
Well, that's where I got the idea. because Ron had the right idea, but he was coming from God bless the guy, Ron Saucy. What he created with the Odyssey Theater, wonderful. It's lived for many, many years, and they do good work there and have done a lot of good
Hmm.
work. But he brought us on like kind of like his adopted children, his adopted brown children, right?
You're not even adopted.
Not
It was
okay,
like he was
orphans.
babysitting
He was,
us. They were giving him money. He said, okay, I'll take him, put him in the back corner. Put him in the back corner. I'll feed him every now and again.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then we came in like savages.
yes, that's
We
right.
came in like savages, had our boom boxes, were dancing salsa, taking off our clothes. With us. He didn't know what. Instead of coming with structure and say, "This is what I want to create," they're giving money for this, and I could do something great. He didn't see us as worthy of teaching.
That's right.
He did not. I think about that, like what a missed opportunity that
Horrible.
he could have taught us comedia dell'arte. He could have taught us the classical stuff, because everybody who was in the group was a working actor.
That's right.
There was nobody that walked in off the street. Everybody was working. They had their resume. He could have really done an amazing thing, but he did not see our value except for getting the check from the feds. It's like that welfare check. I can get a welfare check.
That's right.
So go ahead. I don't mean to jump in, but I got my opinions.
No, you're exactly right, Lydia, and that's why I eventually left the group, which was what all of us should have
We
done.
all left, but we
We
all
should,
left. I mean,
yeah, we
because
don't.
he couldn't handle us. Oh, maybe three people.
But
Maybe
you
three people stayed there.
remember the play that came out of our group, uh, some strange play. The lead guy wasn't even Latino. He cast another a non-Latino actor to play the lead in this play that was supposed to be for us, our little Latino Odyssey branch of that theater. And so just the hypocrisy of it all and the blatant, as you say, disrespect. I thought, you know what, I would like to start my own company, a company of Latino actors that will do any play, do all the great plays that we never get the chance to do. And that's when we started the we were out at Cal State LA, and I forget the name of that one. The I forget the name of that. On the It was Tony Plana and myself and Julie Arenal and Ruben Sierra, and we did 4 or 5 productions. I did the inaugural Eugene O'Neill play, A Touch of the Poet, and then I couldn't work anymore on the. I didn't do any more plays there because I was doing other stuff. Film. I was going off and doing film and TV.
You
But
had a
then,
career.
I had to go make some money. But Tony Plana kept it going, and it later became something that I didn't really envision for it. I wanted us to be a professional producing company doing play after play after play, uh, where we're doing Chekhov, we're doing Ibsen, we're doing Williams, we're doing Arthur Miller, we're doing Luis Valdez. Yes, uh, and so it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. And so years later, I started this other one, East LA.
Classical.
I can't remember the name of it. It was always the last thing we had to figure out. What are we calling ourselves? So that's where I did Julius Caesar and Mariela in the Desert.
And
And
that
the
was part of Angel City Theater Ensemble.
yes, yes, that
Okay.
was Angel City Theater.
Okay.
Um, and Death of a Salesman was going to be another one out of that company. But that came out of the Odyssey. That came out of the Odyssey experience that we had, Lydia, where we were disrespected, not given the value, not seeing us as understanding the value that we have, that we uh, and so uh, that was the only good thing that came out of it because I saw clearly
The other good thing that came out of it was Denise,
Blasor.
who became a wonderful director out of it. Like
Yes.
she really just exploded
Yeah.
creatively. She really
Yeah.
did. She took it and she ran, and
Yeah.
she's amazing. That's the only that's the good thing that I see. Other than we all got to be together every Monday night and and cut up.
But also you saw what I saw was the amazing talent and the possibility that Ron Saucy didn't see. But you and I saw it.
Because Hollywood doesn't see us. Hollywood does not, and he's part of Hollywood, or he was part of Hollywood. You know, even though he was theater, he was still part of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because we are in Hollywood. We're not in New York where you get a little bit more chances. We're in Hollywood where it's all about the image, right? And for whatever reason, Latinos are not looked upon as starring, you know. And so this is where we have to give ourselves the opportunities. That's why I love that, even though you've struggled and even though you've had challenges and you've done whatever, you are still working towards what can I do, you know, how can I show up. And I think that is the good thing is, if 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 what we experienced then we experience now, being that age now,
Yeah.
how far could we take it, because technology is so advanced,
Yeah.
and that we have, so you know, we can do so much more than we could back then. You know, that was what, 80s, late 80s, that we didn't have we didn't have computers, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have social media to say, hey, we're doing this thing, come, you know. Because the good thing about Latinos is they will show up. you
Yeah.
you put a SOS, they're all coming. They're there with their families, their children. They got the picnic baskets. They're there, you know. And so I think of that and I go, okay, but what can we do today? What can we do today? And so the fact that you're teaching, um, I love that you are teaching Shakespeare to young people, that you are teaching the classics, because we didn't have that opportunity when we were young, unless we found Ada Brown Mather, unless we went searching. It wasn't something that was in our backyard. You know, we didn't have access to that. Not that we don't have the same challenges, but we have tools that we didn't have before.
That's right. And we're going to have to take advantage of them and do it ourselves because it's never going to be done for us. I hate to be pessimistic, but the percentage of Latino actors that are working in television and film is less than it was in the 80s. Right now, we're at about 4%, and that even might be high. It might be a high estimate. We have to get to the point to where we're making our own films. And Moctezuma Esparza tried that. Remember, Moctezuma Esparza had the company where they did a few films.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and
We've had little breakouts here and there.
here and
You had
there,
La Bamba, you know, Luis Valdez, you had La Bamba, you had Stand and Deliver, you had a few things that were going out there, but not enough.
those were all at the behest of the establishment. The establishment said, okay, Luis Valdez, do your little Zoot on La Baum. And we'll have, you know,
Oh,
they gave you the money and you thank, well, gracias, señor, gracias. We got to get beyond that. We've got to
yes,
do it ourselves. And
yes.
honestly, I don't know. I don't know where is that the when will those people with the money that are able to do it, that have it, when are they going to see that we're never going to be in Spider-Man, we're never going to be in this and that, those big blockbuster movies, but you can help us. You can help us do a $10 million film. No problem. Why aren't you doing it?
So
You're
let's
Latino.
phrase it. Let's phrase it another way. Let's phrase it another way.
Yeah.
For you watching us, that you have extra cash that you don't know what to do with, we know what to do with it. So give it
Yes.
to us and we will make you look fabulous. We will
That's right.
take your money and double it because you are at the point where you can do so much good for the community. You just didn't know that there was an opportunity to give us, but now we're telling you there's an opportunity to give us and we are ready to receive it.
Yeah.
We have great people who will do excellent jobs. The media has lied to you and told you that Latinos are low bar people, but you know that's not true. Latinos are people of excellence. We have been striving and doing great things for people all the time. We're the ones that have been in the background making things happen. So help us to help you, help your bank account. Just give us some money and we will do the shows that Hollywood said we couldn't do. But if we have your money, we can do them. So give to us. We open up your purses, open up your wallets, take out your little phone, your PayPal. Come on now. We are waiting for you. See, that's how you do it. That's how
Very
you do
good.
it, Robert.
Very good. And
We're in the
the byproduct of that is that our kids have a, a, a better self-image. Our kids will stay in school because they have a better self-image. That our kids will have higher goals. They'll stay in school. They'll go to college. They'll get a degree. They'll get good jobs. They'll bring up and we all get lifted
That's
just
right.
by, we all get
That's
lifted
right.
by
And
that.
for those of you Latino who love Star Trek, who love Star Trek, what is it, Voyager, you got Robert Beltran. So give, because the only way he could do Star Trek was because he did great theater. See, you like those little fluff pieces? Well, you want really good actors doing fluff pieces because they're the ones who just take it to the next level and make you really believe that you are in Star Trek.
That's right. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? There was myself, Roxanne Dawson, uh, who used to be
Another wonderful actress and director.
and director, Latina.
Yes, yes.
Um, we had a lot of wonderful Latino guest stars, directors like Jesus Trevino.
Love Jesus.
The cast and crew loved him too, and there were several other Latino directors that they brought in. Uh, so yeah, I mean we have all of the ammunition to do great work.
And we just want to remind the people sitcoms were invented or reframed in a way that we still watch today because of a Latino. Desi Arnaz, I was going to say Ricky Ricardo. Desi Arnaz, a
That's
Latino, a Cuban from Cuba. He was an immigrant. He came here and he redid how television was. And we still to this day do the formula that Desi Arnaz created. So, and there are a lot of great Latinos that you have probably never heard of who did great things, but because the media does not want you to know how fantastic. Did you know that a Latino was the one who created Marilyn Monroe's look? It was a Latino.
I didn't know
He
that.
made her, he made the Marilyn Monroe image.
Mm.
So I just want you people to know how great Latinos are, just like how great Black people are, how great Asians are. It's just that you don't get the memos, but we got the memos and we got the receipts, and we'd be happy to share them with you. Please call
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
Give money to Casa 0101. They're doing great stuff, and other theaters across the country who are doing great things for Latinos who are out there grinding every day to bring theater to Latino communities.
yeah.
Help us elevate the culture. We are becoming the majority. We are becoming the majority in this nation, which is why the GOP is in such turmoil, because they're trying to stop us from doing what we do. But you know, you like that rice and beans, right? You like that little tamale and that little burrito, and you like that arroz con pollo. So come on, bring us
That's
some
right.
money. That's my PSA for today. Getting back to you, because this is about you, Robert. You are an amazing, amazing actor, an amazing director, and
Thank you, Lydia.
a giving actor. You are very giving, just as a human being. What I love about you is you've always been kind to other artists, very kind. And that to me puts you at the top of the list. That you are, you don't take yourself too seriously, but you do the work, and you are a man of justice. You are about justice and making sure that we're not getting ripped off, that we get to show up at the table. You fight for Latinos, and not many with the name do. Not many who have gotten to a certain point. They use it as that they get to be the gatekeeper,
Yeah,
but they're not really sharing the wealth.
right.
They get to be the little god in the
Yeah,
garden.
yeah.
I'm gonna say who gets to come and who not. I want to ask you, what would you like to be doing in 5 years? If money was not an object, if opportunity was not an object, what is it that Robert Beltran would love to be doing in the next 5 years?
I would love to have created a theater company that that did plays, great plays, that was committed to teaching acting, that was committed to doing plays that we don't normally get the chance to do, that really stretch us, like Shakespeare, other great classical playwrights and plays. I would also like to have a film company that's basically doing the same thing, where we do a film or two a year with Latino screenwriters. I'm not saying that every film would have to be all Latino, but I think we have to start that way until things get a little bit more equitable. We have to take care of our own first and get prepared to so that we find a little our niche in the marketplace, and we grow from there. That's what I would like to see.
Create a slate of what the five theater pieces are that you want to do. Create a slate, and
Yeah.
then what would the first three films look like? Do you already know those people? Because let's start calling in the money, man. This is I'm excited, because I think this is not only doable, but it is lucrative. It is something that is lucrative. It's just having the slate going. This is what we're doing, bringing in, auditioning people, and bringing in the best. One of the things that Hollywood has done a disservice to us about is over the years, and this has been since I came in 78, all through the late 70s that I witnessed to now, is they will have these big casting calls looking for the Latino, looking for, and then they go to another country and bring in a Latino. Nothing is wrong with that, but we have so many people here. And when you start thinking about who are the actors who can open up a movie, you may have three. One is American, the other two are from other countries. That does not speak well for us. And it's, and my thing is never complain about it. It's like, okay, what's the solution? How can we do it? It's like, it's just figuring out the model and saying, okay, we're going forward. There are people who own dentists, dentistry, mechanics. There are so many well-to-do Latinos who would love to make a deposit in Hollywood, who would love to say, hey, I was part of that film. I was part of that project. So I think it is really just about how we market it. It's coming up with the vision and then sharing it through social media and say, hey, you have an opportunity to put this together. You got Fanny and Nelson Grande, who just did their own streaming service, Avenida. They have been hustling and working their asses off and just doing their grind, and they are about, okay, what can we do? So I know we can do stuff. And I would also say to you, Robert, that your next series of classes, you really need to shoot them and then put them up so we could distribute them everywhere, to share. It's like, yeah, we got a Latino here who kicks ass, and out of that would come some other Latinos who are kicking ass that we don't even know them yet. We don't know them yet. The problem is we live in Hollywood again, or not the problem, it's not a problem, but the challenge is we live in Hollywood where we buy into the myth that we can't do stuff. And then there are just little gatekeepers. And if you're not part of that little cabal, sorry, but the truth is there's a universe, and social media has opened us up to the universe, and we just have to think smarter. We have to be more calculating in how we're doing it, and not feel oppressed by this city, because there's more than this city. That's what the pandemic showed us.
That's right.
You can go remote. How beautiful. I love it. It's like, wow, what? We can do this? We can really do this? Are you kidding me? When you see some kid with his little smartphone making a movie, and he doesn't have the baggage we come with. He just, I'm gonna make a movie. And that's so right. we have to reframe how we are taking over, because we get to take over. And you have all this, not just talent, but you have all this history, all this experience that you could be sharing. I say you need to record your classes. I started doing these videos 12 years ago to celebrate Latinos in the business, to celebrate people that I see grinding all the time and doing amazing work. And I feel they should get their flowers. And, I want to see you in a leading role. And I still think there is some great part for you to do, to give you your flowers, to say, this man kicks ass. Where has he been all this time? Where has he been? Let's rediscover Robert Beltran. Not just, that's the guy from Star Trek Voyager. No, he's a serious ass actor. Thank you very much, people. I love you, Star Trek fans. Don't come for me, because I don't really care about your asses. but um, you say you just it's just gonna fall on deaf ears. But I'm so happy that I know you. You always make my day. Just hearing your name, I go Robert Beltran. I love Robert Beltran, and
Thank you,
I
Lydia.
want you to tell me what you want your legacy to be.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for your everything you say, and for this podcast. It's really great. It's really
Thank you.
great, and you
And the
get
next time, I want us to do a Shakespeare master class. I would
okay.
love that
All right, that sounds good to me.
because I want to learn.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still learning. I'm constantly working on a sonnet, because there's again, there's nuances still you don't that you only find after continual work. So legacy, oh man, I don't know. This is the way I came into the business, Lydia. I was lucky and I started working really soon after showing up in LA. And then I had people saying, well, you need a publicist. You need a publicist. You got to get publicized and you got to do interviews. Well, I tried that for a while and it made me sick to my stomach. Because even though I'm an actor, I don't need the spotlight on me all the time. I like my privacy and I don't need to see my picture on People magazine or Enquire or any of that stuff. So I made a commitment to myself that I was never going to do that kind of publicity where I pay for it myself and I look for the publicist and we're talking and we're creating a strategy for my career and all that stuff. I my I made a commitment early to just get work through my work, and I never chased fame. I never chased the dollar. I knew that if I could work in this business, I'd make pretty good money because it pays well. Um, and so my my goal was always to find the next best role for me, the next best project. Uh, didn't have to be the lead. It just has to be a good role in a good project. And for the most part, I can say maybe there's a couple of things that I did that I would, not too proud of, but it was for the money and probably shouldn't have done it, but
But did you do your work?
I did the work. Yeah,
That's all that counts. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you did the work.
Yes,
And as actors, I didn't mean to interrupt, but as actors, we're not always going to have the stellar script.
yeah, that's right.
We're not. It's not always going to happen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
A lot of times you have to uh, make do with some not very good material, but yeah. So I am where I am, wherever I am right now, because I relied on my own work to get me work, and I was going to sink or swim with that, and that motivated me to keep trying to be the best actor that I could, to stay optimistic and to stay curious. It's worked out for me, because I've been able to make a career. I've never been anything other than an actor. And so um, my legacy, I hope, will be, I hope if people will see my work and are aware of me, they'll say, well, that's a guy from East Bakersfield, California, low rent, low rent East Bakersfield. you know, if we got to be lower middle class, we were doing good. Most of the time we were below lower middle class, right? Working in the fields and picking cotton, picking grapes and all that stuff. Here's a guy who just did it because he loved it. And honestly, Lydia, I would be doing it right now out of love whether I made any money ever, because I love it that much. I mean, I might have had to take another job, but I would still be doing theater. I just love it that much. And that's why I never tell actors, don't try it. Don't do it. Actors that want to be, when they said, do you think I should try it? I said, it's up to you, man. It's up to you. I can't say, do you think I have enough talent? Yes, you do. You have enough talent, but I'm not going to tell you to go ahead and do it. That has to come from you. It's a tough road. It's a tough road to hoe, man. And
But you know
uh,
what? Anything is a tough road.
that's right. That's
And
right.
we always put it on acting. Acting is so tough, but so is being a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah,
Just getting your passing the bar. I know lawyers who it took them 6 7 tries before they
yeah,
actually passed the bar.
that's right.
So it's about the love. Going back to and that shows up for you in spades. I get that you not only love acting, you love the craft, you love putting your hands in projects that it just you just ooze that out, that you love what you do, and you're a protector of it, you
Yeah,
know.
I love I love actors. I love working with actors. I don't love the ones though that are trying to do it the easy way, because there is no easy way. That I don't I don't love the ones that aren't willing to work.
You don't love the prostitutes. Let's just you don't love the I'll just do whatever. Let's
Let's
just
call them
go. Let's
let's call
go.
them let's call them mercenaries. Mercenaries.
No, they're prostitutes. They're
Okay.
mercenaries. At least have a stronger intention.
Yeah, that's true.
Prostitutes would just give you whatever. Yeah,
That's
okay,
true.
I give you that. Okay, yeah, you want that? Okay, that's $5. Oh,
Oh,
that
you're
other
right.
thing
You're
is
right.
going to be 25.
I agree. I agree.
So,
Uh, but an actor that is willing to work hard and has a has a goal in mind, I love working with them. I really do. It makes my day.
what did you in case we have some Star Trek people watching, what
Uh,
did you love about being on Star Trek Voyager in addition to the paycheck?
I think I was 41 when I started Star Trek, and that's when I started taking seriously get looking for a series, a TV series, because I did not want to be in my 50s and 60s hustling for work, being at the mercy of these casting directors, and the lack of jobs for Latinos, and then older Latino men. You know, the the paucity of jobs for with that combination. You're Latino and you're in your 50s and 60s, and you're hustling, and I did not want to be going through that. So I was looking for uh, a series, and Star Trek came along. I had done two other series that didn't last very long. Um, I did a couple of pilots that I thought were going to go into series. They weren't picked up. So when Star Trek came along, it was really nice, even though I always hated science fiction. And I had never watched Star Trek because I couldn't stand it. Uh, but Star Trek fans are always like, you know, they don't like that I'm that honest. They would rather hear me say, "Oh yeah, I always wanted to be in Star Trek." No, I didn't, honestly, but it was a stroke of luck because um, there's life after Star Trek with the conventions, and they pay you to go, and they just plus all the residuals. Um, Working with the cast and crew, working with a very tight ensemble. Everybody is working to try to make each episode as good as it can be. The money, the material, most of the time, I did it, and I did my best always, but I wasn't that inspired by it. I had scenes occasionally that I really liked, and those were fun, but they were far too few as far as I was concerned. But that's true with any television series, whether you're in Star Trek or a cop
Especially when you
series.
have a big ensemble.
Yeah, nine
Yeah,
people, nine people,
yeah.
and you have they're all almost all the same. Star Trek is like a Western. You're going into the Wild West and dealing with all these. Uh, it's also like a doctor's or a cop series. And if you're part of the ensemble, some episodes you're just not going to get that much, and just enjoy your day off, which is what I did. I enjoyed my days off, and I enjoyed the scenes that were good and well written, and I could get into them. Uh, more inspired by them. And so the 7 years, well, I think what I took most out of it was the process of all of us working together. That's what I loved the most. The process of putting each episode together with cast and crew.
Because on a TV show, you have a lot of guest directors. How
Yeah,
was that process? Because you now have formed your characters, you guys have a rhythm, and then you have a new person that's coming in to tell you what to do with your stuff that you've already solidified.
yeah.
How was that process?
Well, the good thing is that they know they know each character. So very few of them uh, tried to rewrite stuff or but there was a couple. There might be some clashes, but for the most part, the directors came. They knew what your character was, and they didn't try to. They worked within the limits of the boundaries of Star Trek, and there was one director I remember. I had to do a reaction, close up reaction. Camera was like here, right, and the enemy was blown up, and I was supposed to be happy about it, right? So he says, "Okay, Robert, the spaceship's going away. You're watching it fade, and then you see the explosion. Action." And I went like this. Cut, cut, cut. Robert, can you give me a little bit more? I said, yeah, okay. And action. And in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, yes, we made it. We got through it again. That's great. That's my reaction. And he's going, oh, Robert, maybe. And I did it another time, and then another time, and finally I just, look, man, do you realize that my character has fucking died and come back to life? Do you realize that I can dissolve and go beamed up over here and beamed up over there? Watching an enemy ship get blown up just makes me feel good. It doesn't. It's not the second coming. It's not that, man. That's my reaction. That is my reaction. Choose one of those. And I felt really bad about it. I felt really bad about it. But there was a director that nobody liked. And I kind of felt sorry for him. So I wasn't hard on him until he started getting a little shitty with me. One morning we were blocking the scene, and he was like being kind of. I just didn't like his attitude towards me. It's like, okay, Robbie, you go over here, and then you go to the, and then we're ready to shoot it, and then he says, "Okay, Robert, do you remember what you did, the blocking?" And I said, "No, I don't remember it. I don't remember it unless it's written down. Somebody because they have the script person."
Supervisor.
I said, "No, I don't remember it. Is it written down?" The script person didn't write it down. He says, "Well, don't you remember it?" And I said, No, I don't remember it. I know I go there. After that, I don't remember. But it should be written down. If you will just tell me what's written down there that should be written there, I will do it. I'll go there and there and there and there and there and back, whatever it is. But if it's not written down, I don't remember. We better rehearse again. Oh, well, yeah, things like that. But it was rare. It was rare.
This was so much fun. I had so much fun with you, Robert. I can't wait to do it again.
To see you, Lydia. You look
Oh,
fantastic.
oh, thank
How do
you,
I do that?
Robert. Thank
You look
you.
beautiful.
It's the Jesus glow, and I'm not talking about Christian national Jesus. I'm talking about the real Jesus,
The Messiah,
the one
the
who
coming
loves
Messiah.
me, who's not
Loves
judging
you.
me. That's right. He's not judging me. He lets me be me.
And you know what, Lydia, let me say one last thing because you bring up a really beautiful thing. Uh, a lot of people in our business are not Christian. They don't believe in God. And in fact, they're very hostile to Christians. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. And every time I did a play, I always said a little prayer, thanking God for my creativity, which came from
Amen.
Him,
Amen.
right? Just before I would do a scene, I would say a little prayer in the morning, thanking for the opportunity to have my healthy body, my healthy mind, and the creativity that comes from God and being able to make a living at it. I always said a prayer, and I never forgot that it all comes from the Lord. And so when you're working on a role and you're a Christian, you know you have a you know you have a better idea of what morals are being broken in a character, where where they have crossed the line. There's a divining rod that you have that helps you to helps you to figure out these characters and where they live, right? And so if you don't believe in anything, nothing means anything to you except money and stardom and all that stuff. You can be a good actor. You can be a very good actor. In fact, most of them are I would say, are not Christian, and they do very, very good. But I find that the Christian actors and we tend to bond with each other. We somehow find out.
Look for
Always
the
have a
light. We're looking for the lights, man. We're looking for the
always
light.
have a sensibility that there is a spirit that comes through in the work. That's something that I find has been very helpful to me, knowing where my creativity comes from, knowing where I come from, and what I believe centers me. That centers me. So
And
I just wanted to say
understanding
that.
he brought you. He, those moments where you thought it was luck, it was really God guiding. I'm a believer that God guides us, that he created us for a time such as this. He knows where we're supposed to be going, even when we falter. It's what we need in order to get back up, because we're all going to fall. I love in the Bible, it says we all have falling shorts. We've all fall short of
That's right.
God's grace.
That's right.
But that in that place of falling, in that place of crashing and melting down, it's like what we talked about earlier. As actors, we melt down. We have meltdowns so that we can then have breakthroughs. And I believe
Yeah.
it's like that with when we're doing our godly walk, our spiritual walk. We
Yeah.
have those moments where we start questioning God, where we start going, why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing wrong with that. He actually tells us to come and talk with him, contend with him. I love that word. He says, contend with me. What's the
Yeah.
problem? Tell me what the problem is. And I love that, because I always go, God, let me just tell you what this is going on. And I don't want, and I'll point my little bony finger at God, and he gives me what I need because he's
Yeah.
my father. He created me. So I don't have to act any way other than I am. This is how he created me. He created me to be expressive in this manner. Everybody has a different way that they express their thanks to God. Everybody has a different way they express their anger or whatever. As
Yeah.
long as you don't hurt somebody, it's
Yeah.
all good. But God is faithful. And what I love to tell people all the time is that he's the big creator. He created us to be the little creators. And as
Yeah.
long as we're flowing with him, we get to create it. It goes back to the breath you were talking about,
Yeah.
having the breath so you could flow. Well, that breath is God. God
That's
breathed
right.
in us. It is not
That's
to
right.
go into a Bible lesson, but God breathed in us. He gave us life. He breathes in us. And so,
That's right.
what are we doing with the breath that He's giving us? How are we showing up? How are we being responsible? How are we being a light to the world? We're supposed to be a light to the world. We're supposed to be salt, bring
Yeah.
flavor. It brings
Yeah.
some flavor. If you have a piece of chicken, it ain't got no salt, it ain't got no flavor. But for us, if it doesn't have adobo, it's got no flavor. So,
Yeah.
as Christians, what are we doing? How are we, because I love acting. You just opened up a whole can of worms. When I was in a church and I would tell people I was an actor, said, well, that's the devil. And so for a long time, I had attitude with God. I said, well, Lord, I love you, but I'm still going to be acting. I just want you to know. And it wasn't until I understood, wait, God gave me this talent. This
Yeah.
isn't from the devil. He
Yeah.
didn't say, only the devil works in Hollywood. We're a light. We're a light.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of devils, but that doesn't mean we can't walk. Jesus walked amongst the devils. Jesus walked them. That's you grew up in East Bakersfield. I grew up in Spanish Harlem, and so it was a lot of darkness, but I always
Yeah.
carried the light. I didn't grow up in a church. I went to Catholic school, but that was the law. That wasn't really my belief system. That was
Yeah.
just the law of the neighborhood. You Latino, you black, you go to Catholic school. That's it. And then
Yeah.
I went to an Amish community where I lived with them for 2 months as a kid. There was a special. They had this program called Fresh Air Funds where they would send inner city kids to, and I got
Yeah.
I got I got the lucky
Wow.
number. I got to live with the Amish people, and I
Wow.
learned from being with them how they worshiped God. And I remember sitting there and going, I knew it wasn't like how they said it was in the Catholic Church. And after that, I went back to Catholic school militant. Like, no, I'm not doing confession. That's not of God. I'm not doing that. That's not what God said. And because I was the champion seller in my school. Let me tell you, I used to sell everything. I was winning all those things that they let me get away with, not going to
Wow.
confession and not doing, but I always had a connection with God. God revealed himself to me when I was 3.
Mhm.
I knew him. I knew him in the darkness, being
Yeah.
living in a dark house. I knew God. So I was always pulling on God. He brought me to California. It was like, okay, let's go. And to me, giving thanksgiving to God every day, because we are so blessed. We can complain about, well, we're Latinos, but we are so blessed, because on one hand, we might have the challenges, but on the other hand, we have great opportunities. It's just, who are you walking with? Are you believing God to do what man said was impossible? Because my favorite thing is impossible. If you really look at it, it says, I'm possible. I'm
Yeah.
possible, not impossible, but I'm possible. So how
Yeah.
are we how are we moving toward, how resourceful are we? Because if we claim to be uh children of the high most God, why wouldn't he give us opportunities? It's not necessary that it's going to look easy, because usually he gives us opportunities dressed in challenges and say, okay, I need you to go figure it out. It's like David, one of my favorite characters in the Bible. uh David did some crazy stuff, but he always went back to God. I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
He would start out the Psalms. It's like, I hate them, take them down, crush them, destroy them, and then he'd calm down. Then he'd
Yeah.
calm down. Then God,
Right.
then he went into thanksgiving. Then he went into, I'm with you. I'll do what you want. Even when he acted out, brother acted out. But the Bible tells us that he was a man after God's heart. God loved him even when he faltered, and he faltered. He did
Oh
crazy stuff.
yeah.
But
Badly. Yeah.
yes, it's what are we? How are we walking? How what kind of father are you? And to bring it back to you, you exemplify as a teacher what it's like to be an ambassador for Christ. You are so kind, and just watching how you uh, love on the students, how you give them what they need. You're a good father to your students. You really are. You just come so kind to them, but still giving them firm information, like, this is what you got to do, you can't do it this way. And what better way to glorify God than teach people through love?
Yeah. I thank you. I don't always live up to I can be very impatient, but the thing that
But not on
when you
camera. You're not impatient on camera.
yeah, yeah. The thing that when I was teaching at UCLA, you can't bring up any kind of Christian thing. But I would always get how I would deal with that was that, the last day of class, I would say, look, you guys, as actors, because I always loved it when in the Bible where it says they are in the world, but they are not of the world. When Jesus says when he's praying, he says, keep my disciples in the world, but not of the world. And so my way of passing that on to these students without getting Christian on them, which they may not like, I would say, you guys, you got to stay out of the world. You got to be able to look above it, stay above the world and look down on it so you can be objective. You can see what's bad here, what's bad there. And when you bring these things into your character, it's because you're not in it and you're not in the jungle. You're above the jungle and you're looking at all this stuff and you're able to make judgments. And that's how I try to, it's one way of
That's the eagle
that's
approach. The eagle
yeah,
is above the storm. The eagle can
yeah,
see everything. I mean,
yeah.
that's one of the great metaphors in the Bible, that he says, renew my youth like the eagle,
Yeah,
because the eagle does not hang out with the turkeys. The eagle is always above, right? Or the pigeons. and
yeah,
and a lot of us are eagles, but we are so fearful that people are going to know us, that we sink low to where the pigeons are, or where the turkeys are, and then they start pecking at us because they know we don't belong there. And so you
yeah,
have to, it's like, who says to me what I need to do? God does. Nobody else. God does. Not that I'm directable. You can tell me what you want, but if you go against the code of my father, I got to step back. I have to say, oh, I can't do that, but thank you very much. I can't do that, but thank you. That's my favorite thing, is like, oh, thank you so much, but no, I can't do that, but thank you.
yeah, 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 yeah. I agree totally.
Thank you,
And
Robert
that's why
Beltran.
and that's why you're so beautiful. You have this glow. It's
I work
It
on it
looks
every day. I talk to the Holy Spirit every day. Lord, help me, Jesus, help me, Lord, help me. You know, just the last thing, how powerful prayer is. That if we
yeah,
really just put stuff to prayer, God shows up and shows out on our behalf.
that's right.
He has no favorite kids, and we have to just grab a hold and say, God, this is what I need. I need this today. I need you to show up and show out for me. I need you to turn this situation around. He says, my people who are called by my name, if they will turn from their wicked ways, I
Yeah,
will acknowledge them and I will help them. And so it's like, it's not that we don't fall, but it's coming back and repenting, saying, Lord, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I am sorry. I want to do better. I want to walk better. And it's a
yes,
life process. I think that's
yeah,
what people lose sight of. It's a life process. But
right.
pretend to be when you pretend to be a Christian and you use the Bible to weaponize your evil, then God has to come down and crush you like the bug you are. That's all I got to say about that. Because he's going to be doing some crushing. We have so many people who just, my favorite thing is he says, you're going to, when they come to me and say, Lord, Lord, don't you know me? I don't know you. I don't know you at all.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
People selling
Powerful.
Bibles in his name and sneakers, and
Yeah,
it's like, no, 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 that's not my father don't work like that, buddy.
yeah,
You are operating with another kind of father, but it ain't my father, because my father don't need to be selling no sneakers. He's the owner of 1,000 of cattle on 1,000 hills. He created everything. So if he created it, why are you selling sneakers? Why are you selling these Bibles you never even read? What's that about? How and it says that people will get bamboozled. I'm,
yeah,
I'm paraphrasing. That's the Lydia Bible, but it says, in the last days, people will be bamboozled and by the bling bling, and you got people out there with the bling bling.
yeah, yeah. You're at the mercy of every false doctrine that looks good on the cover, but inside it's no good at all.
He gives us two
Terrible.
mandates: love God with all your heart and all your
Yeah,
mind, and love your brothers as you would love yourself. Well, three,
yeah,
because you got to love yourself, right? There are a lot of people who don't love themselves. How can they love their
yeah.
brothers when they
That's
don't
true.
love themselves? So it's love. We show up in love. It's not vengeance, it's not hatred, but it's in love. I may not agree with you, but that doesn't mean I don't love you.
Yeah, that's right.
As
That's
a parent, you love your child, but when they do something that's not right, you correct them. That doesn't mean you don't love them. I think bad parents are the parents that allow them to do whatever they want.
yeah.
Just,
It all
oh, Billy, oh, Billy, oh, Billy. No, Billy, you're gonna get a pow pow.
yeah,
Billy, I'm gonna give you a tap tap on the rump rump because you deserve it right now, but I still love you. And I
yeah.
think I think it's anyway. I could talk about Jesus all day
I'm
long.
glad we got into that. Thank you, Lydia. You're great.
Oh
You have
yeah.
a, you have a great understanding.
I taught Bible study for about 20 some years.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I
That's
I I taught it in high school, junior high school, at my church. I taught it in my home, with single moms, co-eds.
yeah,
It's because for me, I, it's a manual. The Bible is a life manual.
yeah,
And when you read all these business books, they basically take stuff from the Bible. They just don't give the Bible credit, but it's the principles. They're giving you the principles that are biblical.
Yeah.
They're just wrapping it in something else. And it's like, wait a minute, I got to give God credit. I'm here because of him.
That's
What
right.
does he want from me? I'm here because of the Father. And so it's not losing sight of who we serve.
Yeah.
And I think as Christian actors, performers, we we have to look at the gifter, not the gift, because a lot of times we lose our way looking at, oh, aren't I good? I'm a fabulous actor. I've won all these awards. Nah, nigga, you ain't won all those awards because you good. You won them because of God. So let's get it. Let's get it. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. So
Wow. You have great authority. You speak with great authority.
only because I talk to God every day and he
Yeah.
corrects me every day. He
Yeah.
will correct me, and I'm grateful for the correction. We're learning, right? Every day we're learning. We're, as human beings, we're learning. The beautiful thing about technology is that it forces you to learn. Technology is moving so fast that you gotta keep learning to stay ahead of the curve. It's
Yeah.
like with AI. I'm learning so much about AI. Let me tell you, I love AI. I'm loving certain parts of AI because there's certain things that you go, wow, this is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what it can do. You just like the internet. The internet is amazing. You get to choose if you use it for good or bad. You
Yeah.
get to choose that.
Yeah.
You
That's
get
right.
to use. You get to choose if you're abusive with it, if social media is not good or bad. You decide, are you going to
Right.
curse people out on social media? Are you going to troll them? Are you going to give them compliments? Are you going to be informative?
Yeah.
It's neutral, just like money. That the Bible talks about money. It's not money is the root of all evil, but the love of money is just transactional. It's
Yeah.
what we put on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I think it's great. I'm
I
glad.
love you, Robert. I
Love you
love
too,
you
Lydia.
so much. I'm so happy. I can't wait to see you in the flesh. In the flesh, my friend.
Let's do it.
I can't say this enough, but I just want to say thank you for always showing up, for always being a man of character, a man of integrity. You are a mighty man of God, and you always show up as that. So I say thank you, even when you have your little blowups. It's okay because it doesn't change who you are. It just says you are human. You had a moment. Remember, Jesus had a couple of moments too while he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
walking. He had a couple of moments.
Oh yeah.
So, and he had to deal with his 12 disciples were a piece of work. So he had to deal with them too. So
Yeah.
we're in good company. We're in good
Yes.
company.
All right.
I love you.
Love you too. God bless you,
Okay.
Lydia.
God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got some really good nuggets from what Robert was saying. Let us know what you think and share this video with your friends. And don't go anywhere because we have some more acting nuggets for you. This time it is from Joanne Barron from Barron Brown Studios. Joanne breaks down even more things that you need to be a working actor.